Let's move on to custom sections and rows. In NetSuite, you are able to customize your financial reports by adding sections and rows. One way to do that is to add header and summary rows to your report. That will typically be used to group other sections and rows of your report together. Often you will sum them. The next customization option is to add a financial section to your report. That's typically used to group a number of GL accounts together and set them up in a section that is distinct from other areas of your report. Next, you can add a financial row to your report. It's similar to the header and summary row section. You can add a formula there as well. In this case, it does not include the header section. You can also add a text row to your report. This is very handy when it comes to customizing the layout of your report. You can add specific text to the header, footer of your report. You can even add a blank row to separate your report so it's more easily digestible. Lastly, you can add a reference row to your report. What that will let you do is source data from other financial reports and pull that into the report that you're customizing. For example, you may be working on a balance sheet report and you want to pull in some information from the income statement. You would add a reference row to achieve that. Let's jump into NetSuite now to see how each of these custom sections and rows can be leveraged. Okay, so here we have our standard balance sheet report. Let's go ahead and customize. Now to add new rows and sections to your report, you're going to navigate to the top left and click on the drop-down menu. At the top of our report, let's go ahead and add a header and summary row section. What we can do is give this a name. Let's go ahead and assume we want to capture our total assets less current liabilities. Let's go ahead and capture that. Assets less current liabilities. We're going to give it the same summary label. And now what we need to do in order to pull the correct numbers is add a custom formula. Make sure you click on the radio button for apply a formula. What we're going to do in this case is select a row within our report and we want total assets. We're going to add to our total assets another row in our report, being our total current liabilities. Perfect. So now when we run this report, as you will see, we now have a new section at the top of our report, and it's going to include the calculation of total assets less current liabilities. So we can see here that when we add the two together, we get to 88 million. Let's return to customization. So the next custom layout that you can change is adding a financial section. You can either use an existing one or create a new section. Typically, you're going to create a new section to meet your custom reporting needs. The great thing about this section is that you can add specific GL accounts. So let's say I'm looking for specific account numbers I want to include here. I can add them here one by one. If I'm going to do that, you want to make sure that we use the use expressions and use parentheses and ors accordingly. It's pretty straightforward. Just think about how you would use a saved search. Next, you can add a custom formula row. We actually just saw this. Again, custom formulas are very similar to the header and summary rows, but in this case, you just add the formula section. Let's take a look at a text row. In fact, I'm not going to have it at the top. I'm going to move that down. You just have to be patient with it. It takes a few seconds. And sometimes dragging is a little easier. So let's move our new text row below our total assets, but above equity and liabilities. What I want to show you here is that, yes, you can add any text here, but also you can keep it blank. And you'll see here that NetSuite converts that to a blank row. So you can add multiple blank rows if you wish. Separate your report as necessary. I just want to show you this. And let's preview. Go ahead and collapse. So you can see here now we have inserted 4 blank rows between our assets and liabilities. Obviously this doesn't look great, but hopefully you get the point that you are able to customize the report layout by adding blank rows, and that can be helpful. Let's return to our customization. And the other option is to add a reference row. So again, what I mentioned earlier was you now are able to pull in values to your report from other reports. We're looking at a custom balance sheet here. Now let's say we want to pull in some specific details from our income statement. So we pick the report that we care about, and now we're going to pick the specific row from that report. Perhaps we want to pull in our gross profit. Now it's very important that you select the appropriate range. Typically you want to pull in the start date and end date for your report where that's applicable, to achieve the correct financial results. So make sure you test these, that you have the correct range for your reporting needs. Let's go ahead and preview this. Okay, let's go ahead and collapse our report. And we can see here that our new reference row has appeared in our report. Right now the balance is 0, but depending upon the report that you're pulling from and the row that you're pulling from, the number will display here appropriately. What you'll find is that you really have endless possibilities when it comes to customizing your financial reports in NetSuite. Let's take a look at a specific use case where perhaps you have an asset account that has a negative balance and you need to move that to your liability section. So we're going to go ahead and return to customization. Let's come to our other assets section. And what we're going to do is edit the criteria. Gives us a warning, that's fine. So what are we going to do here? Well, we know that we have a GL account within our other assets that has a negative balance. So we need to move it to our other liabilities section. So what we're going to do is use expressions. And what we're telling NetSuite to do is pull in all accounts with an account type of other asset. And what we're going to do is specifically exclude the GL account that we want to move to liabilities. So we're going to say is not account number. And in this case, the account number that we want to exclude is 1910. Best practice to include parentheses. Okay. And now what we're going to do, we're going to our current liabilities section, our other current liabilities, and we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to edit criteria. We're going to use expressions. Let's start off on the right foot with our parentheses. And now we're going to include account number is 1910. We need to make sure this is the OR function. It's any of our existing current liabilities or account 1910. Okay, let's go ahead and preview our report. So now what we're going to validate is that our other assets section, let's collapse first. Let's expand our assets. Notice that we have no other assets at this point because we've removed them. Let's go ahead and expand our liabilities. Under other current liabilities, we will now see account 1910 that wasn't there previously. And you can do that with any of your GL accounts. Again, coming back to the customization, you have full reign over kind of the GL accounts that appear in particular sections of your report. Note, this is not only limited to GL accounts. You can filter your reports based upon class, department, location, any of those segments within NetSuite.